They secure the nation's borders by preventing inadmissible people and illicit goods from entering the United States. Hilarious. But neither component knows how many non-citizens without ID documents are released into the country. What on earth? They don't even know the numbers. It shows you what a disgusting joke this is. There's virtually nothing stopping somebody who's motivated, who wants to do damage to the country, from getting in. The border is worse than we even thought. This new report from Homeland Security, Office of the Inspector General, reveals in the stuff that we can read, because good portions of this are ultimately redacted, as you can see. We'll try to figure out what is inside of this, including some of their concluding remarks and recommendations, like maybe not letting terrorists in the country. But it's a big problem that the CBP, ICE, TSA, they did not fully assess the risks that are associated with releasing illegal aliens without ID into the US and then allowing them to hop on domestic flights and fly wherever they want. Here's the report. It's not good. This came out September 30th. The subject is about these risks, and it is a report with some attachments, but here are the highlights. Although they have policies and they have procedures to check the identity of non-citizens, aliens seeking entry into the United States, they cannot always verify their identities. I wonder why. According to federal law, non-citizens without ID are not admissible into the country and shall be detained. That's what the law says. However, ICE and Border Patrol officials are permitted to release non-citizens into the United States based on various conditions and considerations. And prior to releasing these individuals, these immigration officers, they accept self-reported biographical information, which they use to issue various immigration forms. Once in the United States, they can hop on domestic flights and go wherever they want. Now, non-citizens without TSA acceptable ID are allowed to board domestic flights. Before doing so, TSA requires them to undergo vetting and additional screening to make sure they're not terrorists or something. TSA officials query law enforcement and immigration databases to validate the information that is probably not real that was given to them on the immigration forms, but they're just whatever they say they are. The TSA vetting and screening procedures do not eliminate the risk that non-citizens who may pose a threat to fellow passengers can board domestic flights. Redacted, 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 redacted. Don't know what that means. Under current processes, Border Patrol and ICE cannot ensure that they are keeping high-risk non-citizens without ID from entering the country. What does high risk even mean? Let's see. Additionally, TSA cannot ensure its vetting and screening procedures also prevent high-risk non-citizens who may pose a threat to the flying public from boarding domestic flights. Okay, that is terrorist bombers is what they're talking about. High-risk non-citizens, exploding people who might pose a threat to the flying public. Now, the Department of Homeland did not concur with our recommendations. Here's some background. It outlines requirements for the inspection, admissibility, and the removal of non-citizens. They secure the nation's borders by preventing inadmissible people and illicit goods from entering the United States. Hilarious. 2 offices within the Border Patrol process non-citizens. Okay, so they process them. The TSA is responsible. We got it. Now, our objective was to determine the extent of Border Patrol and ICE and their policies and how they deal with these people coming in. Now, here's how it works. Here are the results of the evaluation. Turns out, according to enforcement statistics, officers encountered more than 3.2 million non-citizens in fiscal 2023. That's a lot, including 2.4 million encounters at the southwest border. Now, when ICE immigration officers encountered non-citizens who arrive, these individuals are generally considered applicants for admission and are subject to inspection. They just show up, hey, welcome, here's an application. Procedures an immigration officer may perform during this inspection, so they show up like, who are you? Okay, what's up? Here's the first step. Fresh across the border, first step. They review their ID and travel documents if they have any. They get their biographical and biometric info and they put it into DHS. They interview them, they collect DNA samples, and then they question and query immigration and law enforcement databases for derogatory information using the biographical and the biometric data obtained. Now, if their inspection yields derogatory information, depending on the nature of the information, non-citizens may be deemed inadmissible and refused admission, but probably not. Now, they could be detained, they could be released into the United States pending immigration hearings or review, which is where the bulk of them are. Now, ICE immigration officers officers then assign them unique alien registration numbers as a personal identifier. The A numbers then go on the forms, and you can see here's one scene, what it looks like. This person is coming to the country, non-citizen, alien, and they're getting their fingerprint. If non-citizens do not have identification, like such as an unexpired visa, unexpired passport, or other things, immigration officers may deny their admission and subject them to removal. Yeah, right. However, if non-citizens without ID indicate that they intend to apply for asylum, which is what they all say, or express a fear of persecution, are you afraid? Yeah! Then they're going to refer them for a credible fear interview. If the asylum officers determine those claims are credible, which they always are, these non-citizens may be released into the country, and they are. We've seen the numbers. Now then, immigration officers can also parole non-citizens temporarily for urgent humanitarian reasons or for significant public benefit. Before releasing non-citizens, they issue them documents. If they do not have ID, then they accept their self-reported info, and they use that info to populate the forms. They also collect photographs and fingerprints. Additionally, a DNA sample may be collected if they're over 14. Now, they have procedures for this. They have policies and procedures for screening non-citizens, but neither component knows how many non-citizens without ID documents are released into the country. What on earth? They don't even know the numbers. It shows you what a disgusting joke this is. Here are the guidelines. Here's a description. There's manuals, parole. This provides guidance, right? All these are documents, policy documents, guidance documents. As part of our review, we observed Border Patrol officers and agents processing 53 non-citizens at 2 ports of entry, Arizona and California, and other stations. During our visits, we watched immigration officers review travel documents when available, so they're watching them. Did you guys read the manuals? We're just going to come shadow you today. They got photographs, fingerprints, and more. We also observed officers and agents entering non-citizens' info into the systems. We noted that 7 of the 53, or 13%, had no ID. So 13% of people coming across out of millions is a lot. We requested data on the number of non-citizens who did not have ID and who were released. Because immigration officers are not required to document whether they have ID, the data is incomplete. They don't even know. Therefore, neither ICE nor Border Patrol could determine how many of the millions of non-citizens seeking entry into the United States entered without ID, or whose self-reported biographic info was accepted. No idea. Don't even know the number. And immigration officers that were interviewed acknowledged the risks of allowing non-citizens without ID into the country, because Mr. I'm not a terrorist comes in and he just could be a terrorist. But neither ICE nor Border Patrol conducted a comprehensive risk assessment for these non-citizens because they don't care. TSA also requires non-citizens without acceptable ID to go through screening. They do require that passengers provide a form of ID before getting on aircraft, but individuals who do not have an acceptable ID may still fly on TSA if they can validate through other means. Once in the United States, non-citizens processed by DHS can travel on domestic flights. And there's something redacted here. If non-citizens do not have acceptable ID, then TSA will use DHS-issued documents, blank and blank and blank, to initiate procedures to validate this. And then they have the app too, okay? When using the CBP-1 app, the Transportation Security Officer takes a photograph, then they try to match the photograph, and if they can't confirm a match, they get a red X. Okay, this is your confirmed, this is your not confirmed. If there shows an example, this shows redacted, blank, 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 blank. Information from the non-citizens goes to the call center representative for validation. The representative then queries and makes a determination. When the app is available, all transportation security goes through the app, and there's more redactions down here. Now, because of these processes for inspecting these non-citizens, the methods to screen for individuals who would pose a threat would not necessarily prevent these individuals from boarding flights. Yikes. So that's scary. So this is all redacted. So we checked here, someone failed, this was a failure. According to the TSA administrator, TSA relies on Border and ICE to collect this stuff, to conduct these background checks. And so TSA's requirements and capabilities previously conducted an assessment that emphasized the risk of non-citizens whose ID cannot be confirmed. It's like security theater. Specifically, in a June 2021 analysis of the risks associated with the Border Patrol app as a screening tool, TSA's Operational Risk and Case Studies Group within the Requirements and Capabilities Analysis Office concluded that, what? They're going to blow up a plane any minute? Look at this. The TSA's Risk and Case Studies Group seems like this might be important for us to know. Like what? Like the planes are going to explode because we have terrorists on there? Additionally, TSA provided us with an updated CBP-1 app risk assessment marked pre-decisional. The document is signed and dated according to TSA. And in it, it says, we're all going to die if we let this happen too, so you can't read about it. Now, in recent reports, we documented similar weaknesses that allowed high-risk individuals into the country. For example, one non-citizen released into the United States in 2022 was later found to be on the FBI terror watch list. How'd he get in here? Oops. We also identified at least 2 persons paroled into the United States as part of Operations Allies Refugee, Operation Allies Welcome, that may have posed a threat to national security and to the safety of local communities. And finally, in June 2024, we reported that DHS's biometric system, the automated biometric identification system, could not access all data from federal partners to ensure complete screening and vetting of non-citizens. So the systems don't even work. And specifically, we determined that Border Patrol could not access all of the biometric data held by the DoD, which contains the watch list. And so in conclusion, redacted, 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 fix your stuff. They've developed and implemented policies and procedures. However, their efforts are terrible. If Border Patrol and ICE continue to allow non-citizens whose identity immigration officers cannot confirm to enter the country, they may inadvertently increase national security risks. They're basically telling us that it's wide open. We recommend they conduct a comprehensive risk assessment and analysis, and we recommend that they do what the app fixes require. And so it's pretty bad out there. You can see that's the report. Now, Border Patrol and Homeland disagree. And according to Bill Malugin, says, this report contains inaccurate statements, lacks context, and is misleading about our efforts to verify and identify non-citizens. Yeah. We reject the OIG's core recommendations because they're premised on a fundamental misunderstanding of our policies, which already incorporate numerous measures to minimize risk. The report does not reflect the policy and the procedural updates that we've implemented, and we're doing a great job. Every individual is processed and removed. If and when new information emerges, DHS will work closely with the FBI and other partners to take appropriate action. So a pretty damning report, and it's about what you'd expect. There's virtually nothing stopping somebody who's motivated, who wants to do damage to the country, from getting in. Just sign up on the app, come in, tell them you're Mr. Not a Terrorist from definitely not a bad country. They'll let you in, they'll give you keys and turn you loose, and nobody can do anything about it. In fact, they're enabling it, and that's our own government. Terrible.